like, Data, he keeps trying to duplicate this sort of feeling of anger and then being pleased by the anger. You know, being happy that he killed this Borg, and he can't. And he keeps repeatedly doing this, and he keeps increasing the strength of the Borg. He doesn't recreate the same sort of internal feelings to himself. Data asks him if he could help him deactivate the safety protocols, which I think this is the first time that we have to have two upper level officers do it.
Yeah, this is like the first time they introduced this protocol, because the holodeck, yes, has like safety. Like, you can't make a program that's powerful enough to kill you. The computer won't let it the computer won't let you do that because it's protecting you. But now they're saying, oh, if you have two senior officers, you can override that. And I'm like, well, that's new. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, and they had, I mean, before it would just be like, computer, turn off this regulation, you know, or whatever. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
Right.
So that's kind of weird.
Let me ask you, sorry to interrupt you, but do they ever go back, spoilers, but do they ever go back to that? Or is this just like a one-time thing where they talk about this feature that's never been utilized before?
I don't remember, because there's only one more season after this.
I mean, certainly they do mention the safety protocols like throughout the series. But, like, this idea of disabling them and you need two senior officers, and I'm sure somebody will correct me who knows more about Trek than I do. I think this is the only time that they mention that you need two senior officers to override that. I
think you're right. You know, if someone thinks we're wrong, well, if someone can prove that we're wrong, Please correct us gently, people. We are just people after all.
Trying to put on a show.
Yeah, exactly.
Geordi thinks it's very unsafe for Data to like take out these protocols because they're dangerous levels. You know, he's like, oh, you could kill yourself kind of thing. You know, he says, Data, this is crazy. Like, I haven't put that in my notes because he's trying to tell him that he's going to extremes for this. It's sort of interesting because, you know, Geordi's like, you know, you shouldn't put your life on the line, but still, if there are backup protocols to keep someone from killing themselves using, you know, the program to kill themselves, would it still count because Data is technically a machine to the computer? Like, I don't know. So maybe
Geordi's got to keep that level head though and just make sure. I mean, he's a man that follows protocol clearly. So this isn't something that he's going to endanger his best friend or himself or his crew. But it did seem like it was a little bit enticing to him. I thought maybe he was going to go that way, help out his buddy.
Yeah, you know, I kind of like that moment where Geordi was like, should I do it? Like, should I help him do this thing? Because at the end of Data throws the argument out there of like, well, it's my life to risk. And Geordi is like, oh, well, he's got a point. And, you know, certainly when they go on away missions, their life is at risk. So, you know, you do see Geordi kind of struggle with that, but then he's saved by the bell.
Right.
And he doesn't have to make the decision.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard whenever your best friend wants to do something crazy and you're like, well, I mean, this is what you want to do and it's only going to hurt yourself, but I don't know. kind of thing. Okay, so the next scene, the Enterprise receives another distress call. It's from the MSI colony. And it's not a false alarm this time. So they immediately respond, and they see the Borg vessel. They immediately give chase, and they are pulled into the transwarp conduit as it tries to flee the system. It's kind of weird because the Enterprise was the nearest ship again. It's like, what? You know, what's going on here? Picard starts to get a little suspicious because there were 15 ships in this fleet keeping watch, and it's kind of weird that it was right next to them again. Borg ship re-enters the vortex and it disappears when, you know, the Enterprise comes in, but they get caught in the wake. They keep following. Then when they get on the other side, Borgs show up on their ship. It's like, hey, guess what? We're here. You know? And of course, there's a fight. And, you know, they're on the bridge and everyone's fighting and everything. One drone is killed and another one is wounded. So, and there's a guy. There was one of the Federation guys over in sort of a little doorway. And Riker's like, Franklin's dead. So in my notes I put, and Franklin's dead. We don't know who Franklin is. And what's funny is then whenever they go back and you see... they show like Riker again, you see a guy like standing there sort of looking around. According to the production artist Andrew Prober, in the original blueprints, he put a bathroom there behind that other door. So it's like,
yes, that is the bathroom. So the other security guy.
So he went into the bathroom. These Borgs come on the ship. One of his coworkers is murdered right in front of the bathroom door, and he like opens it up and is like, "What just happened?"
Oh man, I really had to pee, and then look what happened.
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
All this distraction, you know, all this stuff going on, forces the Borg ship to escape. And here's the thing. They don't take the wounded and killed guy. They just take everybody else and get the heck out of Dodge. Like, usually they take all their Borgs, whether they're alive or dead, because they can, you know, reclaim parts and stuff. But nope, not this time. So that's another kind of little suspicious action from them. So Worf checks the sensor logs, you know, and this is great. Like, if you go back and watch it, he has his phaser in his right hand, and he is gripping onto it so tightly, like, just in case they show back up, he's gonna get them, you know? And it's great.
Exactly.
Way to go. Good job, security chief. But, you know, they figure out that the Borg must have beamed on to create some sort of diversion, you know, so they could get out. So then we go on, we're in the brig, whatever. And we have a Borg in the cell laying on the little bed area. Dr. Crusher is checking him out. Worf is standing there keeping a watch on her to make sure it doesn't attack her, kind of thing. Then outside the cell, we see Picard and Data, and Dr. Crusher is giving her findings about the Borg. You know, he seems like he'll heal fine. He's got some problems, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, Picard is like, wake him up. All, you know, like, usually, you know, he'd be like, wake him up, Dr. Crusher, or something. But he was like, wake him up right now, kind of like attitude, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So...
But yeah, everybody's really on edge, you know, like that's, and I think that's really what this episode right now, everyone's super on edge, and Picard is like, I'm not going to let another opportunity slip through my fingers to rid ourselves of the Borg.
They find out that this Borg also has a name, and it's Acrosis. They have some interesting names. You know, Picard wants to know where he got this name, and he said, the one gave us our names, that kind of thing. They don't have designations. And Picard is interrogating him about the one and all that. And Croesus is like, the one who will destroy you. And I put in parentheses, Voldemort? You know, because it's almost like one of those kind of things. Picard assumes it might be Hugh, and so he's asking those questions, and he starts asking so many questions about why they're like this, who they are, who the one is, blah, 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 all that stuff. And the Borg, instead of responding, is... At first, he's not saying anything, so then Picard's like, I am, you know, the cutest of Borg, you will respond to my questions. And then the Borg starts spouting off, like, what species each one is and how to best kill them, basically.
I liked that part.
Yeah, it's like, oh. What's weird is there is a guy that hits buttons. He does the boop, 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 boop thing to bring down the cell door, basically. And most of the time there's just like a panel on the wall, so maybe there's been upgrades. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But I did see that he was Bajoran, and apparently there was a cut line where he says something about Bajorans, how you kill them too, so... He was getting everybody. Except for Data. So everybody leaves. except for Data, because he's supposed to scan him and get some sort of, see if he can get any kind of more information out of him. And this Borg does another not Borgy thing. He starts to manipulate Data, which sounds like most of my jobs. Manipulating Data. Anyway. He, says, you are more superior. You should be assimilated and all that kind of thing. And Data's like, nah, bro. That's fine. And he keeps going by, like, telling Data, well, you could have the thing you want to feel real emotions.
Yeah, Croesus is selling the dream.
Yeah. He's like, you were angry, weren't you? And Data's like, it's like he's got this ethical protocol that's like, no, don't do it. But then he's also like, I need to have more of those feelings. It's like, this is where he turns into an addict, I feel like. This
is where he becomes the Dave Chappelle meme.
Yes.
Where he's like, y'all got any more of those emotions? I would just like to point out that this entire conversation, including the question of, would you kill your friend Geordi to feel this again, takes place in front of the security officer.
Yeah,
that is sitting there. Like, what is homeboy doing?
He
just checked out,
dismissed too, right?
Completely checked out.
Was he checking Facebook? Was he tweeting? Like, they are having this incredibly disturbing conversation, and the security officer's like, "Oh, but what's going on the old Instagram?" Like,
just all up in my DMs right now.
Maybe he's deaf. I mean, I don't know. It's
Maybe
like,
that's what it was.
Something I was thinking about.
Oh my gosh!
Is how there's not really any disabilities except for Geordi is blind and there's implants and stuff. It's like
he was on Space Tinder. That's what it was.
Oh, that's probably what it was.
Space Tinder.
He's swiping left.
Trying to get that good date for the night.
There you go.
He's like, who's gonna sit with me and 10 forward tonight? Data seems to be really taken in by this Borg talking about, you can have emotions, It's really sort of interesting. We go back to the bridge, and the crew discovers that the vortex that they had entered is a form of conduit that allows them to travel from one star system to another, which is kind of what they figured that the Borg were doing, and it's almost instantaneously. Geordi compares it to getting, like, swept away, like, in a river stream. What did I say? Current. That's the word I was looking for. I wasn't looking at my notes, everyone. Because I was trying to say, like, waves, and I was like, I just said river. Current, like a stream current. They haven't exactly worked out how it's activated, but for the moment, they can't return to Federation space, so... they're kind of SOL at the moment, but, they're trying to work on it to figure out how to get back home. They actually had gone, like, 65 light years away from where they were originally at, which was pretty crazy. Because a light year is how far light travels in a year, and light travels super fast, you guys. What did they say? It was, like, something about 20 times their warp speed or something?
Yeah,
I didn't put that down.
Yeah, basically they were moving at 20 times their maximum warp.
Mm-hmm.
Maximum warp is, like, I guess you could say warp 9.9, because warp 10 is, like, theoretically impossible because that would mean, like, infinite speed. So, I mean, we're talking about, if we're putting in a number, warp 180, which doesn't exist. Right. So, yeah, so it's so fast moving, which is great for traveling long distances. It's great when it works. So you want to get back home.
Yes, it's that whole getting home part that sucks.
Yeah.
So while they're talking this over, Worf notices that a shuttle has left the shuttle bay. And of course, everyone wants to know who's in this shuttle. Oh, it's Data and the Borg. And Data used his credentials to get them out of there. So, ruh-roh.
Indeed.
Indeed. So they put on a red alert, And before the Enterprise can catch the shuttle, it disappears into another conduit. The crew's figured out how they can achieve